G'day guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce. For this, it's your boy Joe with my very first team reveal for the 2024 Supercoach season. Got the early access, and this is my first attempt. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get straight into it. And here we go. We begin with the back line. This is all it is, a general view. Let's just zoom in a little bit and sort of talk about it line by line. Nick Dacos kickstarting things off. The guy is a superstar, only had his second year. Don't think too much needs to be said about him. It is fade at your peril, I think. He is that good, and you watch all the good things that Collingwood does. He is involved in a lot of it, and he cannot be stopped with conventional means. And I don't think anyone is going to be spending this summertime trying to think of how to stop Nick Dacos. Just accept it. He is inevitable, and he is going to be in all of our sides eventually. I'm starting with him now. Plus, that DPP is really crucial. I've got Sicily in second position here in the back line. He is a freak. He is a gun. He is a leader, and he is really good at what he does, and that is get a lot of Supercoach points. Jazz, Big J here, had a talk with Daz Talks Footy, who is a die-hard Hawks man, and he had a lot of good things to say. I'd head on over and watch that video. Really promising about the setup that they're going to have by the looks of things in that Hawthorn backline, which should, in turn, hopefully translate to Sicily playing a lot of the role that we hope that Ridley would play, and that is more of an intercepting type of player, less accountable one-on-one defending, which is exactly what we want to hear for these two guys, which is why I've also got Ridley here. We got Mackay. Our backline is looking a lot better than previously, and I think that Ridley, this is the year where things finally come together and he'll be allowed to play the way that he's always been meant to be played as, and doesn't have to play accountable one-on-one defending. Plus, he's a beautiful ball user, and he's the best kick in the league. I'll just say it there, statistically. We move on to Hayden Young. I think a lot of people, everybody and their mum, are probably thinking about starting this guy with all of the news about him playing in the midfield, rightfully so. Makes perfect sense for why everyone talks about him, and at that price point, it's really hard to turn down. Speaking of amazing price points, Zach Williams is almost unmissable, really. It's a free hit at that price. He's shown historically what he's capable of, and at 216k, he should be right to go. He's not going to be playing in that midfield. The midfield is stacked. The experimentation of trying to convert him from a halfbacker to a midfielder is over. They've also added some really important, crucial cogs to that midfield whilst he's been injured. So you can expect Williams to be playing behind the ball where he's meant to be playing. And Caulfield is also another one who has absolutely been decimated by injury. And there's the silver lining, I guess, that us super coaches in 2024 can pick up these two guys for absolutely dirt cheap. Very much undervalued. And then I've got two rookies on the bench in Zach Reid and Pink, Toby Pink. These two guys are probably going to be playing round one in every single week that comes along with it, and definitely going to be best 22. And they're both really good players, and a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about both of them in their two respective clubs. So I think these are the two best 123k rookies. Of course, these are all subject to change between now and March. They will change probably no less than 1.837 billion times. Yeah, I ran the maths just then. We then move to the midfield. Got Butters, the first one right off the cap. He's a gun. He's a star. Love watching him play, and not owning him really sucked, and I would have loved to have him at some point last year. However, I could not. So I will not make that mistake. He's in my team. Tom Green, loved owning him. I was a firm believer in him all year last year. Even when people were speaking bad and he had his detractors, I always kept the faith, and he repaid me. Absolutely love the way he goes about it, and I can't wait to see him play next year. Andy Brayshaw was also a fairly good player to own, actually, on my team. He hardly ever shat the bed. He was a reliable, he gave us some reliable, consistent output. And more often than not, he gave us a good score, and I can only expect him to do better next year. And I look forward to seeing how this amazing two-way runner goes. Speaking of two-way running, Sam Walsh, mate, Mr. Bionic Man, I love this guy, and at this price of 576,000, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you don't pick him up. I think the guy is a gun, and we all saw what he did as soon as he came back from that injury last year. He's a star. Tuke Miller is also a star at 545,000. It's a steal. It really is a steal. I know he came back from his injury, but coming back from an injury mid-season it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's very hard, if not impossible, for a long layoff injury for you to come back from that and to just slot right into your previous role. The team has to evolve and adjust with you out of the system. Every club really needs to adopt a next man up mentality. And when you're out for so long, like Tuke Miller was, the team has to adjust. And not only do this team adjust, well, the player themselves also have to adjust with the pace of the game again. They're not as hardened as everybody else is. And so it makes sense for them to feel a bit out of place. Tuke Miller coming into next year will not be out of place. He'd be well and truly ready to go. And for 545k, it is ridiculous the heights that this man can reach. And he's going to be rejuvenated under a new coach who, and at first I was thinking, Dimmer Hardwick loves to, his Richmond Dynasty team was very much a selfless team and everyone buying in. But then I remembered he doesn't tag either. He never sends any taggers. And the defensive role that Tuke Miller was playing in the back half of last year we won't have to worry about that, because that is what Dimmer Hardwick and his Tigers were notorious for, conceding a metric shit ton of points to opposition mids. So Tuke Miller, you're on my side. Welcome aboard, mate. We get to then the rookies. So McKercher, Sanders, and Curtin. These are the three rookies that we're going to play. I think you absolutely need to have all three of them. They're all going to be absolute guns. And they're all probably going to just slot right into their respective teams and be playing, I think, right off the bat. Dan Curtin, they traded up to get him the Crows, and he's an absolute gun. One of the sliders in that top 10 selection, and he out of the top 10 draft picks, and he is an absolute gun, very talented. And they've got one. They've really got a player there. Plus, that DPP is impeccable with the sort of moves I can then make with him, between him and Nick Dacos. McKercher's going to slot right into that halfback line over there at North Melbourne, and Riley Sanders will probably just slot right into where Belly Smith would leave his hole with that ACL. So there it is. It's a perfect, I think, trio there. I'm very happy with that. Plus, it gives me the flexibility with a bit of DPP action. These three rookies can change, of course, between now and the start of the year. Carroll training down the house, apparently. Another one of those euphemisms. Sharp, apparently, is a really well-rated player over there at Fremantle, as is Hall, who was a mature age. He's not mature age, sorry, that's a wrong thing, but he is a gun. He was picked up, and I think he's going to play very early on, I think, for West Coast. But of course, these are all subject to change. As is the whole team, dare I say. It is literally the first day since it's been opened. So this is, like I said, there will be many changes, but this is how I'm looking at it at this point. We get to the ruck line. I have already changed this ruck line from how I initially thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be doing a Gawn and Grundy, but I've sort of changed that up. I've gone with the Grundy. Grundy, I think, is never going to be leaving this side. Solo ruck for the Swans, great team, great midfield. He's a great ruckman. And he's going to be playing a lot of games at the SCG, which is a small ground, more congestion, more stoppages, more headouts to advantages. So Grundy is an absolute must, I think. Absolute gun. Cherry's one that I wasn't 100% sold on, but I'm sort of starting to think about it. I'm reading up some training reports. It looks like he's really looking to take that next step and cement himself as the number one ruckman at North. And to be frank, he really has to, because they let Goldstein walked to Essendon, and as a result, they really need to make sure they don't have the safety and stability that Goldie offers anymore. They're really now investing into this guy to really take that next step, and it seems from reports that he is. So at 407,000 for him to be the number one ruck, really, what I'm hoping for this guy is that he can stay fit and healthy and just continue to play until he can make enough money whilst Mr. Tim English continues to lose money, because there's no way he's staying at 715,000. That's ridiculous. He's basically priced at 130. So there's no way. Surely he doesn't maintain a 130 average. So my hope and dream is that whilst English goes down in price, Cherry comes up in price, and I'm able to somehow meet them just not quite in the middle. So I don't think English is going to drop that much, but at least to sort of soften the blow, to sort of climb up from Cherry to English down the track. I almost pulled that off in 2023, but alas, I got robbed by 0.1%. It is what it is. And then, of course, Reed, I think he was their first selection in round 2 of the draft. Reckon he'll play, but of course, subject to change. I do want to play R3, especially with how scuffed and how messed up the buy structure is. I think having a third ruck is really important. There's no need to have a dedicated loophole option because we've got the buy right in round 1. You can just you've already got a bunch of loophole options from the buy already. We then move to the forward line. McRae, I'm not sold on this guy. Believe me, I am not sold at all. I don't want him in my team, but for now I have him. If I decide to change him later down the track, it's very easy to do so because he is the most expensive forward in the game at the moment. And whilst his average is 99.9, his last month of football was very bad. Very bad. Does not instill a lot of confidence. One can only hope that Bevo sort of realizes that the writing is on the wall and he plays him in a much better role to sort of try and salvage his career. This McRae could very easily turn into a Jackson or a Shai Bolton, both of which I'm really bullish on. I'm really keen. Especially, I think Shai Bolton is really passing under the radar. People are saying that he's very expensive. I don't think so. I think he's going to get more expensive. Another year, he's hitting the prime of his career. He's getting quite a few CBAs and he's capable of hitting the scoreboard. I like Shai Bolton. I really do. He could be coming into this side. We then move to Sam Flanders. I never owned Flanders last season, 2023. But I know a lot of people who did. They obviously traded him out, and then in the back half of the season, he decides to go on an absolute tear. Now, do I expect that to happen again this year? To be honest, no, because Tuke Miller is going to be back firing. And if Tuke Miller's firing, I can't see Flanders firing. So again, this is someone that I'm not 100% sold on, and someone that at this point in time is almost like a placeholder. If things work out, then great, but going to be keeping both of my eyes on these selections. This forward line is just so ridiculous. To the point we've got Zach Fisher at F3. He's training with halfbacks, and that's probably the reason why I don't have Sheasel anymore in that back line, because you can't have too many people in that back line. You know, we've got obviously McKercher back there, Fisher back there. You can't have Sheasel there as well. Plus, he's been elevated to the leadership group, and as a leader, you're probably going to be expected to try and carry some load forward of centre as well. So Zach Fisher is in, and he's said himself that he's going to be playing with halfbacks. And when he's played at halfback at Carlton, he also did a really good job. So Zach Fisher's in there. Harvey Reid, I think everyone should have him. As long as he's healthy, he will play, and that is very important. Wilson is... to be honest, I wasn't going to be picking this guy until Jeremy Big J spoke with, of course, Jake of Saints TV. The episode coming out very shortly. Hopefully you go watch that. And he has some glowing things to say about Mr. Wilson here. And he even reckons that he will debut round 1. Excellent. That's exactly what I want to hear. He also spoke very glowingly of Machito Owens. So Machito Owens is also in the mix, and I love me some Machito. I think he's an absolute star, and could be taking that next step in actually getting rotations in the midfield. That would be bellissimo. And then Mana is the F6 here, the mature age recruit, 26-year-old, 26 or 28, I forgot how old he is, picked up by the Cats. Absolute star at VFL level, absolutely crushed it, kicked heaps of goals, and I have no doubt that he'll be playing the type of player that the Cats would really love to see on a regular basis. And he's got the DPP as well. And then Cadman and Darcy, two key forwards to round out the forward line bench. I'm not a big fan of key forwards, as you guys would have been aware of from 2023. But if they're sitting on the bench, capable of kicking a bag, then I'm fine. But having them on field, no bueno. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my very first take of the 2024 Supercoach side. Of course, it is subject to many, many changes, and we will definitely let you know about those as we get closer and closer to the start of the season. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave them down below in the comments section. If you like what you saw, drop us a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss all of mine and Big J's updated teams, as well as the other videos that we release. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye-bye.